8th, 2018. Steve Sipress here. I'm on my laptop because I just got back from the old Sprint store. My iPhone was on the fritz and still is. After hours of not getting it to work, the technician came out and explained some gobbledygook and just said she had to send it away to the Apple. I was going to say the Apple store, but they had to send it away to Apple, whatever that means, and I'll get it back in 5 to 7 days. Now, I looked at the calendar and noticed that 7 days is Thanksgiving, so I don't think I'll be getting it back in exactly 7 days. But they did give me a loaner. However, I don't know where's all my recent phone calls and text messages and all my apps and this and that, and I got to download all that in the phone or whatever, and hopefully let's see if I can get it to work. Meanwhile, I am here on the laptop coming to you much later than normal. 20 minutes to 7 o'clock at night here on the West Coast, or here on Arizona. We're no longer on West Coast time now for the winter, since we don't change our clocks back. We're on Mountain Time. Anyway, George and Toby are here. It's the same old regular crowds, not saying it in a disparaging way. I love it. And so what do I have for you today? Well, I have been cleaning up my waiting list for my free strategy sessions that you can get if you go to helpfromsteve.com, by the way. Long waiting list. Still have a lot to get through, but I've been getting to a whole bunch of them, more than normal. I only normally do a few in any given week, but I've been barreling through them. And all kinds of great conversations, some really great entrepreneurs, some sharp people just loving it. But then once in a while, there was a just total clunker. And this one just cropped up on Throwback Thursday because I don't remember the guy at all, but he said he came to one of the events that I hosted about 10 years ago. And the reason I don't remember him is because he did not become a member of my group or a client or whatever, because I remember all those, but I don't remember this guy. But he remembered me, and he was like, oh, boy, you had a lot of, he's still in shock, it seems. Oh, you had a lot of people there. You knew I helped a lot of people in there, a lot of people in that room. Yeah, because not only do my marketing systems put a lot of people in rooms for seminars, but they got to put a lot of people into retail locations to buy stuff, into offices of professionals, doctors, lawyers, chiropractors, accountants, whatever, to become clients. They to put lots of people onto websites for e-commerce and so on, but the guy still didn't get it. So he wanted to be, I guess, and still wants to be one of these rare people that is a lone ranger. I made that mistake years ago. And this guy apparently thinks that after years of no success at all, he's still going to do it his way. The call was as brief as I could get rid of him. And he just argued and made excuses the whole time, which either one of those is a major red flag. Means, you cannot enter my world past this phone call, where I will help you out as best I can on the call. Unfortunately, again, arguing and excuse making is you're not going to be very receptive to the help. So basic story, this guy has a business that he loves from looking at his website, which doesn't function properly. But you can tell the guy loves what he's doing, which is strike one, by the way, according to Michael Gerber. For any fans of the E-Myth out there, that's strike one when you start a business because it's something you enjoy doing. You're going to get stuck like this guy way into the doing end of the business, and you're not going to be working on the business and expanding the business. You're not going to run it like a true entrepreneur. You're going to run it like a self-employed person who has a job, and your boss is yourself. But this guy has nothing more than a job. However, from looking at his website, it was, again, very confusing and hard to tell. I had to ask him. But apparently, and since he did say, he's franchising his business. I could not tell. I really thought, unfortunately, that he doesn't have a lot of franchisees out there. And so that's the first thing I asked him was, what can I help you with? And by the way, I see you're franchising your business. How many franchisees do you have? And his answer was a big, fat 0. double zero. I said, well, how long have you, when did you come up with the idea to start franchising? And I was just hoping that it was like yesterday or a week ago or a month ago or even a year ago, a year or two, maybe, 10 years ago. 10 years of attempting to franchise his business, and he sold zero. And yet he argued with everything I said. It just made excuses. I mean, he was so busy making excuses, he couldn't even listen to what I was saying. And then when I said it, he just argued with it. So here's some of the major mistakes he's making. Number one, he has no concept. He looks at everything from his point of view, has no concept of the point of view of his prospect. The target who, the first W in the WOW strategy that I created to simplify all this and make it so that anybody, even this guy, ought to be able to do it if you just paid a little amount of attention. Nowhere in the WOW strategy, the letters W-O-W, none of those stands for me. Doesn't matter what you think. It's not me, and it matters. He's like, oh, well, this is something that, I said, well, I don't even remember now, but it was like a few of the questions were, he did say one of his excuses, well, I did have a few people that were interested in possibly getting a franchise, but then the recession hit. And I was like, that's before I asked him how long it's been. He was like, the recession. I'm like, the recession hit. That's like 10 years ago. Dude. And so, that was excuse number one. But he was like, I said, okay, eventually I was like, okay, do you understand why? Because he kept giving faulty reasons why someone would pay him money to buy a franchise from him. He kept giving reasons that he thinks are good from his point of view, but show no concept of what's going through the mind of a potential franchisee. Someone who is searching online or goes to a newsstand, if you ever have, and gets the magazine of business opportunities or franchise opportunities or franchise monthly. There's a whole bunch of them, and it's nothing but, it's just page after page after page of ads. And so he made a couple of major errors. Okay, let's just go through the major ones. Number one, I said, why would people go with your franchise versus any other? He said, well, because it's an untapped market. So that's mistake number one. You don't want somebody buying a franchise doesn't want an untapped market, which means unproven. And in this case, actually proven to suck. They don't want that. They want a McDonald's. Is that an untapped market? If I said you could choose any, who's viewing here? James Lux is here. Toby, hard-headed people do not make good clients or customers. They waste your time when you can be helpful. Exactly. My beautiful wife, Michelle, who was downstairs, and she was like hearing because she said, oh, that you're never talking to that guy again, are you? I'm like, of course not. Like, huge red flags, excuse making and arguing. Like, exactly, Toby. If I took that guy as a client, like, nothing but excuse making and argue. I would never. He couldn't sign a check. Well, I guess if I'm being absolutely frank, I'm sure there's a number he could write on a check and I would accept him. I would be the most miserable person. I'd be the most miserable billionaire on earth. But anyway, in real terms, no, that guy can't become a client of mine. But anyway, so I said, why would someone become a franchisee of yours? And he said, well, it's a fun business. I said, but that's not, do you have any idea why people choose one franchise over another? He said, well, to make money. So at least he's on the right track. No, actually, I think I said that to him, to make money, because he was all this, well, it's a fun thing or an untapped market. I'm like, people look to make money. He said, oh, well, this makes good money. I'm like, so does that. Anyone ever investigate looking into a franchise? And the deal is here. Jim is here. Show me one ad or website or anything at all for looking to get potential franchisees to buy into their system that doesn't say you can make good money. So, dude, of course they all make good money, but there's an old story, and I'm not good at jokes or stories. I always mess them up and forget the punchlines and all that. But it's a story often told to salespeople who complain about a bad territory, and it's got something to do with people selling shoes. And salesman A goes, they send him to an island a prehistoric, an island with indigenous people who walk around in face paint and barefoot and live in huts and whatever, dating back thousands of years. And guy comes back and reports back and says, yeah, can't, or he says, the way that the sales manager, the bad sales manager tells it, person A will come back and go like, gee, they don't want shoes. They don't wear shoes, so I can't go there. But salesperson B with a positive attitude comes back and goes, man, give me everything you got. All these people need lots of shoes. And that is the punchline for the bad sales manager who says, see, you should love the territory with all that opportunity. And in reality, and that's where this guy was lost and arguing with me. Yeah, but it's an untapped, what an opportunity. Like, and I was asking that question, if anyone could name one franchise, if I said for free, I'm going to give you a franchise, what do you want? Hey, Rob, wouldn't you say McDonald's? Or maybe if you don't like burgers, you might say Domino's Pizza or a Subway, but you're going to choose one of the most popular, most successful franchises there are. You might even say a Ruth's Chris. I think that's a franchise of a fine dining. But you're not going to say, oh, give me some obscure, untapped thing that nobody's ever heard of. That it's the total opposite. So what he thought is his main selling point. I asked him, what's the main selling point? So let me help you out here. And he insisted and argued with me that's his main selling point. It's an untapped market. Okay. And so that's the bad, inept sales manager perspective who tells that story of the two salespeople going through the prehistoric, whatever you call it, island, and comes back and says, yeah, I can't, this is untapped market. It's great. Send me all the shoes. In reality, it's the opposite. Okay. Somebody looking to sell shoes does not want to go to an island where everyone is barefoot and has been barefoot for thousands of years and doesn't want shoes. They don't want them. They've proven that for thousands of years. They don't want them. Pretty sure they could have found a way to get bark off a tree or palms, whatever they're called, off palm trees and form them into shoes or footwear. They don't want them. If you're selling shoes, where you want to go is to Beverly Hills, to the lady with the shoe closet and the 5,000 pairs of shoes. You want to sell to Imelda Marcos. Probably not still alive, but that person that has thousands of pairs of shoes. If she sees something she likes, she's going to say, give me one in every single color. Give me two in every color. What else you got? Give me 50 pairs of shoes. You want to sell to someone who wants to buy what you got, who already buys what you got. We have a saying, a buyer is a buyer is a buyer. So number one mistake, if you think I have an untapped market and therefore everyone's going to buy, you are what's known as a pioneer. And we have the saying that pioneers get arrows in their back. So think about the pioneers in the U.S. 150 years ago or so, blazing the trail, manifest destiny from the East Coast all the way to the West, and what small percentage of them even lived to make it somewhere. You can see in the movies. There's classic movies all the time. The guy goes out there with his covered wagon and he somehow gets out there and he says, wow, look at all the land, mine for the taking, chops down some trees, puts a field, his wife is planting the crops, he's building a log cabin, but then sure enough along comes whoever and burns down the log cabin and shoots him and his whole family and whatever. I mean, like, that's what a pioneer gets nowadays. Covered wagons. Study history, or read it for 2 seconds and realize how few of those covered wagons and those people made it to the West. When's the time to go West? Now! I can go right to American Airlines. I can buy a ticket for $500, and I can fly from the East Coast to the West Coast, and I'll be there in 6 hours. Done. Boom. No arrows in my back. Nobody shooting at me. Nobody burning me down. Nobody killing me. Practically no risk whatsoever. So you want to be a pioneer. You are going to waste or use or invest or spend or whatever you want to call it a ton of time, a ton of money, a ton of energy, a ton of expertise to blaze a trail. Much smarter to find something people already love and they're buying like crazy. So there is a veritable river, an Amazon, let's just say an Amazon river flowing with water, which represents the money flowing through, and all you got to do is even just dip in a little thimble into there and pull out all the money you want. There's plenty of it. The pioneer is the one who's got a desert and says, oh, we ought to put a river here. Good luck. How much work is that going to take to get all the water flowing over there? And then you're going to be able to take some water out? Like, don't do that. Just go to where the water's already flowing, dip in your spoon, your bucket, your thimble, take out however much you want to take out, however much value you're willing to give. It's how much value you'll be getting back out, as long as there's already value flowing. So going back to that story that bad sales managers tell, you do not want to go sell shoes to an island full of people who don't wear shoes. You want to go to a place where people love shoes and buy tons of them. So if you're going to try and propose that people buy a franchise from you because you have an untapped market and you're different from everyone else and no one's doing this, like, fail. Number two, I said, have you ever seen the Shark Tank show? And thankfully for him, he said, yes, he has. All entrepreneurs that watch that show. You see the Shark Tank show. Of course, it's all doctored and edited for TV. I know a whole bunch of entrepreneurs that have been on there. Some that have gotten deals and some that haven't. Some that have been extremely successful getting deals on there, actually. At one time, a friend of mine was the #1, Mark Cuban used to talk about him all the time, even on the show. He was his #1 most successful guy that he'd done a deal with on the show. Anyway, you'll see all the time, they will, after the song and dance and the made-for-TV show that they put on with their story and their demo and their this and that, whatever, then the sharks start asking questions. And one of the first, if not the first question they'll always ask is, give me the numbers. What are the sales? How many sales? So in this case, I said, do you understand that in this case, they would have asked you, well, you got this great idea for this franchise, and it's great, and it's fun, and ooh and on, whatever, great song and dance. Now tell me, in 10 years, how many people have purchased a franchise? And you're going to say 0. And what do you think all the sharks are going to do? They're all going to throw up their arms and close their, Damon John, my favorite shirt, he'll just close the notebook. Mr. Wonderful will just sit there and go, you are dead to me. Dead man walking out of the room, see ya. You not only don't have what's called proof of concept, you actually have proof that it doesn't work. You have 10 years that it doesn't work. Dude, are you going to do something different? Are you going to listen to somebody who you admit you got on the phone with me for a reason? I've helped a ton of people make a ton of money. I've helped a ton of people sell lots of stuff, including franchises, retail, professional, you name it. I mean, they, to the untrained person, oh, those are all different businesses. Like, really? Because they all have a lot of things in common, right? They all want more customers or clients or patients or members. They want better customers, clients, patients, or members. They want to get more profit. They want to get more repeat business. They want to get more referrals. That's all the stuff that I, of course, have helped so many people in so many industries to do, including sell franchises. And here I am offering the help to this guy, and he just wants to argue. Now, I part of me felt so bad for him because I can't blame him. He's a Lone Ranger, right? So he hasn't bounced ideas off anybody, doesn't have any help in him. So I might be the first person he's talking to about this for 10 years. And that's 10 years of misery and negativity, and he just wants to unload all his reasons why, known as excuses, for failure. A reason for failure is just another term for an excuse, and he wants to unload the excuses and the woe is me, and you don't understand, and whatever. I said, well, he did say he had 3 or 4 people. By the way, 3 or 4? Anytime someone ever tells you, when you ask them for a number, they go 3 or 4. How many customers have you had? And they say 3 or 4. The answer is 3. I mean, it's not like you lost count. Oh, I lost count. There were so many. I lost count after 3. I'm not sure if it was 3 or 4. Yeah, you're sure it's 3. But we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll say 4. You had 4 people that said they were interested in possibly getting a franchise. Business owners are here, right? Don't you all know that that's about 4 bazillion light years away from actually giving you money and becoming a franchisee? But in this case, he's like, oh, I said, okay, I'll play along. So did you ask them why they were considering becoming a franchisee? His answer was pathetic. His answer was, because they wanted to do something different in life. They wanted to go in a different direction. Dude, I guess I didn't ask it correctly or properly. I'm asking why yours instead of another. I mean, that's why they would buy any franchise or any business or get a new job or do anything. Like, why yours? You had no idea. No idea. I said, do you know who those people are? Can you get a hold of them? Can you ask them? Maybe they'll remember. Oh, yeah, no, they're long gone. Without another excuses. Like, so, few lessons. Number one, if you reach out for help, that's brilliant. But then accept the help. Don't just argue and make excuses. That's silly. Number two, you don't want to be a pioneer. You don't want to have, a new concept or a hidden thing, or it's I had a client once. He was all proud that he was written up in a local paper that he was the town's best kept secret. See how good? I'm like, okay. On one hand, that says it was a restaurant. On one hand, it says you're a good restaurant. On the other hand, says you are an inept marketer. I mean, that's terrible. What is that? What's the I asked him, what's the benefit of it being a secret? What's the monetary benefit to you? I can't even say it with a straight face. What's the financial benefit to you? The fact that your restaurant bar is a secret, that nobody knows where it is, nobody comes in, nobody knows it's good. I'm sure he told me some. Again, I'm sure he made up some excuse about how. I'm like, shh, shh, shh. When someone says what an awful marketer you are like that, don't advertise it. He put it like on his menu, or he had a sign above the bar, like, I won't say the name of the town's best kept secret. I'm like, don't advertise it. You might as well put translation, I am the world's worst marketer. Like, you don't want to be the best kept secret. You don't want to be something totally different. You want to be, if I say what kind of gas station, I'll give you any gas station in the world. What kind of gas station do you want to be? Do you want to say, I want to be Joe's Gas? Who's here? Nadil, Jim, Rob, James, George, Toby. You want to say I'm Toby's Gas? That's what you want? Or we want to say Exxon, Mobil, Shell, whatever. I want something everyone knows already. And everyone's already going to it. And I'll just have another one. But according to this guy, oh no, it's new, unproven concept of wherever I don't even remember what I said in the beginning of this video. But it was ridiculous. Number two, you need to get into the mindset. Yeah, you have to, you must. I don't like telling entrepreneurs what you have to do because we love freedom. It's pretty much the number one reason we're entrepreneurs. But you're going to have freedom from income if you don't get into the mind of your prospect and stop telling people what you think, why you think it's good. Why would they think it's good? Another thing was, this is a luxury shop that he has. And I said, people buy a franchise overwhelmingly want something that's a necessity. That's fast food. They want food. They want carpet cleaning. They want windshield repair. They want something that's a necessity. Hey, my windshield broke. Who am I going to call? Boom. Hey, my heating and air went out. Who am I going to call? Boom. Like, that's what they want. Yours is not a necessity. It's a much tougher sell. You now got to explain to people but people want it. They love it. But it's tough sell to the franchisee, dude. So you don't want to be a pioneer. You don't want to have the world's best kept secret. It's okay to have a failure, but you want to learn from it. Okay. So when you have 10 years, and please don't wait 10 years. When you have failure, get help. Get help from a professional, an expert like me, or just get help from the people, your prospects that said no, and find out why and give them what they want. So much easier to just give people what they want than to try and convince them that they should do something new and untested and unproven and unknown. He's got 10 years of doing that. No results. Hopefully you are not making any of these mistakes. If you are, it's okay. I don't judge. I help you out. I suggest go to helpfromsteve.com. I'll help you out. I suggest you don't argue. Argue later. Say thanks for that, thanks for that, thanks for that. Shake your head on the other end of the phone. Roll your eyes, do whatever. And when you hang up, go, what an idiot. But don't waste the 15 minutes you got on the phone with me arguing and explaining. He was explaining to me, oh, you don't understand. But XYZ excuse. Results-oriented, folks. Business is about being results-oriented, not excuse-minded, not excuse-driven, not excuse-focused, not excuse-oriented. Like this guy, just all excuses. So no excuses, get help. You don't want to be the best-kept secret. You don't want to be something new and different and untapped market. I think that's what he said. You don't want to be an untapped market until you got a ton of money. Okay, once you're successful and you have 20 McDonald's and 20 Subways and 20 Wendy's and 20 Burger Kings and you're a multi-millionaire, say, you know what, I got some money to burn. Let's take 20 million and let's do something untapped. Let's do some untapped, try something new because I got money to burn, because that's what's going to happen. You're going to burn a lot of money. Could it succeed? Yeah. But I'll take the McDonald's. And I'm not just saying that because it's the best franchise. I'll take a well-known. You give me, Subway. Give me a well-known restaurant over your Joe's Sub Shop any day of the week. They got a proven system. They got people I can ask for help that have experienced, that have been there. I'm going to go to an annual convention or have a website or an online forum or have numbers to call of people that have run similar locations in similar places, gone through the challenges, this, that, whatever. You don't want to be a new idea, an untapped market. This guy who's already pretty much past the age of retirement, not that true entrepreneurs ever retire, but I don't think if he thought that, and he ought to be a multimillionaire. He ought to have sold, I thought on his website he was selling a franchise for $24,500. I don't know if that's the price it was 10 years ago, and he's never changed it. But even just having 50 of those is $1 million. Plus he was taking a 7% royalty off the gross. I mean, he's a multi-millionaire doing anything even close to decent. And yet instead he chooses to do things that totally suck. That's it for Throwback Thursday. Failure is part of being an entrepreneur, part of being a business owner. But you don't want to let it go 10 years and keep doing the same thing and insisting that it's the right thing to do, folks. Get some help. Don't be the Lone Ranger. And when you get the help and you reach out for help, understand you reached out for help probably because that person knows more than you. Or at least be willing to attempt what they suggest. That's my advice for Throwback Thursday. Thanks, everyone, being here live. Everyone watching on the replay. I'll be back tomorrow on Foundation Friday with a foundational business building tip to help you grow your business and not sit there and just fail for 10 years. That'll do it. Over and out.